Debunking DBS Fanboys Part 4/Final. Yes is the last part because I so fucking tired of the Dragon Ball Super. One Super Saiyan God Goku is not universal. Any site, be it Facebook or even here Quora, doesn't guarantee accuracy. In the end there's only one way you can know for sure, and that way is to forget everything everyone says and look up the answers yourself. Because here on Quora one of the few Dragon Ball fans that actually deserves that name, that actually knows what he's talking about, is the paragraph, Jimmy Afolabi. But even he isn't perfect or immune to flaws, and neither am I. There are things he misses for whatever reason I don't really care about, but that's beside the point. You only know when people are wanking or downplaying, if you yourself have read the manga and seen the anime. If you know it all and researched all the information yourself. Here's a few examples of how people on Quora or even here on YouTube, will manipulate information to get the result they want. Example and degree 1. If this was true then Goku couldn't transform into SSG, but he still does it in both anime and manga. So Goku absorbed SSG into base form just as much as the moon is made of cheese. Example and degree 2. The characters themselves debunk the whole universe destroying waves. What the old Kai says is that only when Goku can match Beerus' power, do the waves stop being generated. That was a fucking outlier, and bad writing, just like all Dragon Ball Super is. But when Beerus immediately raises his power again, you see the waves happening again. So the waves were the result of Beerus' technique and power against the inferior power of Goku. You even see when Beerus chooses to no longer raise his power, that no more waves happen at all. But that was a decision Beerus made. Showing that Beerus chose from the very beginning, to have those waves happen. And all Goku could do, was try to match Beerus' power. Also as statements go Whis also said this. Now, here some will say that what Whis meant was that because he was an angel then he couldn't interfere, but they completely forget that he had already interfered and he kept on interfering. In Resurrection of F, we see how Whis shields everyone around him and then turns time backwards 5 minutes. If this is not interfering then nothing is. So Whis lied to Mr. Satan, same as he lied to Goku about Beerus being asleep, and he even points out that Beerus was lying about the amount of power he used. Example and degree 3. So this is someone's flawed attempt, at explaining how the universal destroying waves didn't destroy the earth. This person says that in DB unlike in our real world, energy waves are strongest the further they move away from their point of origin. He says this because of what the old Kai said, about the waves becoming more powerful, as they moved away from their point of origin. But as he attempts to change the narrative, he then can't explain how this happens. The waves reach the Kaishin realm, the farthest place in the whole universe, and it does absolutely nothing. And you want to know something else, that no one can explain. How do the waves reach the Kaishin realm first and the sun second? Also what was said about energy waves becoming more powerful the farthest they moved, was actually debunked by Goku. Here's one of those times. Goku in Ultra Instinct form punches Moro, and the energy waves go around the planet, losing energy as they moved away. Most of the damage was done at the point of origin. And this was just one of many times, you see that energy waves in DB do not become more powerful as they move away. Example and degree 4. Goku shaking the void. The void isn't infinite, this word means eternity. How is this a universal feat again? Why do PPL assume if a character breaks physics it's universal? They're merely breaking what makes the universe tick, that's just like saying I'm car LVL if I break its engine since I made what makes it function stop. SSB Goku is not 50 times SSG Goku. This is a blatant lie that has been debunked in both anime and manga. In the anime you see base form Goku B fight SSB Vegeta and they were pretty much at the same level. Goku B goes into Super Saiyan Rose and he should stomp on Goku and Vegeta throughout the entire fight without needing to fuse with Immortal Zamasu. But turning into SS Rose doesn't give him the amount of power it should have. In the anime, if we follow the made-up multiplier numbers, the Goku B in SSR should have had his base power multiplied thousands of times. But that obviously didn't happen. Just SS3 is 400x base form. So SSR Goku B should have remained far stronger than SSB Goku, Vegeta and even Vegeto. In the manga we see Goku B fight in SS2 against SSB Vegeta, and obviously Vegeta wins. But then comes Immortal Zamasu, and heals Goku B, giving him a Zenkai boost. After that, SS2 Goku B was already able to match SSB Vegeta. But Immortal Zamasu heals Goku B again, giving him another Zenkai boost, and only then does Goku B goes into SS Rose. So, Goku B goes from SS2 at a level higher than SSB, he turns into SSR, and he still needs to fuse later on, when if 50 times of SSB was accurate then Goku B would have never have needed to fuse at all. And it doesn't stop here. Against Moro, that was using his powers to use the energy of planet Namek to defend and attack against SSG Vegeta, the energy of one planet is enough to keep SSG Vegeta away, and even harm him. Vegeta has to use SSB just so he can harm Moro. And Moro had most of his powers sealed by the Daikaishin, which was why Moro had to rely on the energy of the planet and not simply his own. So if a character in its supposed universal destroying form can't handle the energy of a planet, then he's not universal. Period. Another thing you'll see being said by most, is that a DB universe is infinite in size. Which is interesting, seeing Bulma said their galaxy exists at the edge of the universe, and that the DB universe has a center. And for those of you that might not know any better, here's the facts. Universe has no edge, no center. No edge, no center. Exploring the shape of our universe, think about this for a moment. If the universe is infinite, it has unlimited volume. If the universe is finite, it has a limited, measurable volume. Remember now, we are not talking about boundaries, for this is another matter. A boundary is an edge of space. If we were to reach a boundary in space, we can go no farther. In general, the human mind tends to have the following conception: if the size of something is finite, then it must have an edge or boundary of some sort. For it to have no edge or boundary, it must be infinite. So since we can't conceive of coming to the edge of space, after all, what would then be outside it? Space must be infinite. We will explore this misconception in this exercise. In doing so, we will exercise our abilities in both deductive and inductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning is the process of demonstrating that if certain statements are true, then other statements can be shown to follow from them. Inductive reasoning stems from making conjectures based on observations and the patterns we see emerge from observations. Both forms of reasoning will be used in investigating the shape of our universe. We will see that there are shapes which are finite in size, but which have no boundaries. We will have to let go of many of the limitations put on us by our familiarity with the three-dimensional world in which we live. Be prepared to think differently. Remember that in the following exercises we get to see more than we would see if we were confined to the surfaces we will investigate, because we have another dimension or two available to us from which to look. Student worksheets. Teacher notes. Lesson 1. In this lesson, students will examine various spaces, including ones that are one-dimensional, two-dimensional, and three-dimensional. For each space, they will examine what it means to have or not have an edge, or to be finite or infinite. Answer. Key beings in the one-dimensional universe will be either line segments or points. Number 2 can only see 1 and 3, never 4, nor 5. Each being can see two others except for the ones on each end, the end being see only one other being in their universe. Line segment, finite with boundary, circumference of circle, finite with no boundary, ray, infinite with boundary, line, infinite with no boundary. Interior of circle, finite with boundary, surface of sphere, finite with no boundary, half plane, infinite with boundary, plane, infinite with no boundary. Both are finite with no boundaries. If you looked up, you'd see the bottoms of your feet. If you looked to the left, you'd see your image, viewed on your right side. If you looked forward, you'd see another image of you, viewed from behind. A 3 torus is finite with no boundary. Lesson 2. In this lesson, students will explore the concept of whether or not there is a center to the universe. The lesson begins with an exercise in deductive. Whoops. Apparently each universe in DB is quite finite. And this is important because many use the lie of a universe in DB being infinite, to say Goku is multiversal and even outerversal. So if you think here on Quora you'll find less biased answers or opinions than on Facebook, then you're gravely mistaken. The difference, and on that I completely agree with the Folabi, is that here on Quora you can see better cases being exposed. You get far more information, that you can look into. But you'll need to learn to research each piece of information. Because if you simply take everything based on what fanboys say, then you become one yourself. You become no better than all those flash fanboys, just to name one of many groups of fanboys, that say he outran universal instant teleportation, he outran death, he outran the Big Bang, he's faster than his own power source the Speed Force, and that his infinite mass punch has infinite mass. When none of that is true, and can easily be debunked using the comics themselves. My opinion. If you're looking for actual answers, then do the research yourself, and arrive at the conclusions yourself. Because look at me and Afolabi, as the best examples of what you'll find here on Quora. He believes and shows what he thinks proves Goku is universal in power, while I believe and show what I think proves Goku is not universal in power.